everyone, voiceover Lexi Velica here, and welcome to Memorial Theft, my journaling channel. Today we're going to talk about something related to journaling, though not strictly on topic, but highly pertinent to anyone who partakes in an art journaling practice or uses any form of art with their journaling, or, if you're extra cool, considers journaling to be a form of art. And that's the topic of art slumps. An art slump, defined by me, is akin to an art block, but more pervasive and doesn't strictly limit you from creating in the first place. Think of it as an umbrella or a boat that can contain many instances of art block spells. For me, during an art slump, I can only create at a decent level when absolutely forced by obligations such as class. Art slumps are long-term issues that often come in tandem with regression in art skill, which I adamantly believe is a thing and not just a shift in art style. I've been in an art slump for all of this calendar year, and it's currently October. The art I've been able to create has been largely non-visual art in the form of pieces that rely more on image manipulation and graphic design, or the written word. Drawing or illustrating things have been a struggle, and this is painfully evident when flipping through my art journal. You can even see later in this footage that my work is nowhere near as creative as past journal entries I've shown in the previous day's entries, nearly entirely blank. For a while, I thought this was just because I was suppressed and thus unable to put energy in anything. When I started feeling better and I wasn't too pressed for time to be able to invest in my entries, I realized there was a deeper issue founded on some form of avoidance. I was, simply put, allergic to putting any effort into my art. Allergies to effort is not something new to me. It was the basis for a lot of my inability to do art prior to 2022, as I was deeply afraid of producing something bad. I managed to break out of this mindset by repeatedly enforcing the idea of making bad art as a general philosophy, and reveling in the beauties of bad art that you at least try to create. I truly don't care that I'm creating bad art. I care that I'm creating low-effort art that doesn't use a skill I know I possess and is completely rushed. I know also it's not a blanket thing, and that I'm in general incapable of putting effort into things, because I'm entirely able to invest my time and energy into properly learning other things, or creating other things like my web development projects or zines. Creating visual art is simply another story for reasons I'm struggling to comprehend. Art slumps can be mired in all sorts of negative feelings that feed into each other. You feel terrible because you feel like you're wasting time that could be used to improve your craft, and you are thus being left behind by your quote-unquote peers. You know all too well that you are cheating yourself and that something is off with you personally in regards to your complexes with art that's preventing you from working. You have this awful, unapprehendable internal block that you don't have the faintest idea of what to do with. You simply cannot do anything properly, or what you can do is very minimal and it takes a lot out of you. Simple art blocks can be remedied in all sorts of ways depending on the source. If you are sat for ideas, you can rely on creative prompts or idea generators that give you a push to start creating. If you're burnt out, you can take a break and seek out inspiring source material to restore your visual library. If you have a perfectionistic fear of failure, one thing you can do is ruin the page or document you have open to work with to set yourself to a new baseline that you can only improve upon. If you are suffering due to side effects of mental health conditions, you can try to confront the source and prioritize self-care in order to heal and reach a place in time where you can create art again. If you simply can't start making art in the first place, or force yourself to put in the effort once you have, what is it there that you can do, especially if this is a pervasive problem that plagues your entire practice? What options do you have? It's difficult for me to give solid advice when I'm in the middle of it, but I can do my best to provide speculative answers based on my experiences of shorter-term instances of this type of slump. I can provide these suggestions in a convenient, numbered list. 1. Impose false deadlines. I suspect that personally a lot of these issues stem from or operate similarly to my executive dysfunction, a symptom highly associated with ADHD that encompasses a broad assortment of impairments, but is mostly simply defined as impairments pertaining to starting actions, regulating behavior and emotion, and focus. The most noticeable facet of this for me is difficulty with starting tasks where it feels like there is an inexplicable mental block preventing me from starting and keeping up until I reach a comfortable working state. Part of how I managed to escape diagnosis until later in life was because of the structure of school having deadlines that I associated greater fear with, and it forced me to do things. By imposing artificial deadlines using whatever means necessary to trick my brain, like making them look really threatening in my planner, I can get myself to at least start until I remember that there's no one holding me accountable. Sometimes I'll also try to get this accountability feeling by obligating myself to post something online or having my friend threaten to hit me with hammers if I fail to do something personally important. 2. Set time limits for a task. Distinct from false deadlines, give yourself a set amount of time during which you have to do XYZ thing. You cannot do anything other than XYZ thing during this period of time. If you finish early, force yourself to sit there in silence doing nothing to build up a habit. This way, you will be less inclined to rush and instead take your time because you have set this time aside to do this thing anyways. You can always go over this time limit, but never ever allow yourself to go under. This is a simple hack that's most effective if you have a complex about wasting time or not having enough time like I do. 3. Switch mediums. Now, don't entirely switch away from the general genre of the thing you're struggling with. If you're struggling with visual art like drawing, don't do what I did and switch to creative writing. You want something that still works with similar skills. If drawing is providing a struggle for you, switch to 3D art for a while or try an entirely new medium. Ideally, pick something, if not new, something you are less familiar with, so there's more to learn. Sometimes the art slump can be brought on by a lack of rapid improvement that you may have gotten yourself too used to. 4. Rely on studies and references. Sometimes I find a lot of my difficulty is born of avoidance, and one thing I tend to avoid, because it requires effort to seek out, is references. Using references in art is never cheating. It's a valuable tool for learning and highly necessary for improvement. Seek out references for as many things as you can possibly reference in your pieces instead of trying to recall them from memory, because when you're already feeling bad, you don't want to disappoint yourself with your capacity to remember things incorrectly or fail to capture them from memory alone. 5. Stick to comfort zones. I know that I told you to try something new in the form of new mediums, but sometimes you just need to go back to basics and realize that you don't always need to be improving. Sometimes you just need to make art and build up that habit of art making. Return to your favorite subjects, the things that used to bring you joy that may no longer. Draw what you feel most confident and comfortable drawing. Seek out the joy and happiness in creating instead of trying to work against your enjoyment. It's okay to only do the things you like doing for a while. You don't always need to challenge yourself. 6. Redraw extremely old pieces of art. Don't try for too recent of pieces. If you fear you've suffered some temporary art skill regression, try drawing some really old art again can help you boost your self-esteem when you realize how far you've made it. Put the two pieces side by side when you're done and give yourself a pat on the back for how far you've made it. 7. Just keep making art. This is the answer that you need most. No matter what, you just have to keep making art, unless it's actively causing you harm, of course. Keep making more and more art. If you try to avoid it, you might only feed into a pattern of avoidance that will get you nowhere. Avoidance is tragically easy. Pose an art-making challenge for yourself, one that's non-specific, so you can easily achieve it. Perhaps something like making art every day for a set period of time. As long as you make something, anything at all, you can consider it a win. The habit is what's most important, because habits are terribly difficult to pick back up once they've fallen by the wayside. And that's all for today. I know it's a short one, but I hope some of this was helpful for any of you out there suffering an art slump of some kind, and that you one day rekindle your love of art and restore your practice to health. Do all the YouTube things if you want to, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.